Entrepreneurs is on the rise, but women still are facing bias when it comes to securing funding and investors. Megan Bent, the founder and managing partner of Boulder-based Harbinger Ventures, has advice for women starting a business. Good to see you, Megan.
Thanks for having me.
So it's an uphill battle. It feels like we should be past that, but it's still for many women an uphill battle.
It definitely is. And on a micro level, we see a lot of progress. Like you said, female entrepreneurship is on the rise. Recently, there was a list published of almost 70 private equity and venture capital funds deploying $2 billion against female founders, female innovation, female products. But on a macro level, we see a lot of stagnation. Still, women are only receiving about 2% of venture capital funding. So we have a ways to go.
Well, as any entrepreneur knows, it's important to get funding for whatever it is that you are doing. What advice do you have for women specifically who are trying to do that?
I'm a very data-driven person, so where I always start is go to the research. Understand what those implicit and explicit biases are that you're inevitably going to face, and develop strategies. For example, there's a bias that women tend to be more qualitative than quantitative, so know your numbers. Really intimately get your business model, your financial metrics top of mind, and reposition your story towards financial acumen. That can actually neutralize that bias or maybe turn it into your advantage. It's also important to build your network and your community because raising capital is very relational.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you about. How can you go about networking with, it could be anyone, but specifically other women to help support whatever it is that you're doing in your venture?
Yeah, so there's two ways that I think about approaching networking. The first is on a business relevance perspective. So it's taking the time to invest in your own business community, other stakeholders, other entrepreneurs, other founders, but then broadening that also, selectively finding investors and individuals that may be outside your business so you get that acumen. The second way to do it is to really invest in yourself around self-awareness, understanding yourself as a leader, what challenges you may personally face and how you pivot those, and building a network of counsel, mentor, and board members that can support that more specifically.
I know you're having an event where you're bringing people in from around the world, specifically female entrepreneurs. Give us a few examples of how you're helping them.
Sure. We have 50 female entrepreneurs coming in tomorrow, like you said, from around the country, all of them thought leaders in their segments. And the goal of this event is twofold. The first is just that, to give them a foundation from which they can build a highly relevant, dynamic business community. But the second has to do with understanding themselves as leaders. When you truly sort of invest in who you are as a CEO, you have the ability to combat stylistic differences that tend to elevate when you're in a different gender dynamic, as women inevitably are. And these are really important moments.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming in. Good luck to anybody out there who's trying to build a business, and we appreciate your advice.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, Chris.
All right, great segment, Natalie. Time right now is 8:21.